Okay,
mean,
well, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is your map, and
right.
you've identified your patients. And first of all, let's say you're right here in Boise, and the major intersection that you're right off of here is
We're in the
55.
corner of West
Yeah,
Boise. Yeah.
yeah, 55 and 20 Sidner Boulevard. Okay, so you're right in that area right
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Right.
Now, let me do the process of elimination first. Now, again, remember you've been there 20 years, so we'd expect you to have a pretty good range of people. But remember that people go in toward an economic hub. So let's use the process of elimination. And by the way, what do your colors mean? Are those different years?
Yeah. So if you see on the left, you see
What was last year? What colors?
last year is green. So if you look at the left, it shows
What year
which
is purple?
purple is the purple is the 2017 and 18. So green is
Okay.
2022, yellow is 2021, and you can click them
Okay, wait a
off with
minute.
the.
Wait a minute. We don't have to worry about that too much. That's not, you didn't move your office, so that's not going to be relevant. The only relevance to that is going to be where the city's growing. So that's the only relevance. But let's go ahead and do the process of elimination where I would not go.
It's
Okay.
growing to the west is where it's growing. It's really going
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay. So the outer interstate here, the outer loop here, 55 East State Road, that's kind of the psychographic barrier to the north. All those people, that whole residential area, they're going to come in to the hub, into where you're at. So I would not be going outside of that north from the northern boundary, especially 44 from the northern boundary. The let's take a look at the western boundary. You see, you don't have any real geographic barriers, so it extends out much further. This is a classic example here of, you see how much further out you go, because your western side, you don't have any psychographic barriers. So it's distance that eventually stops people from coming in. So it
Right.
goes out much further to the west because you don't
Right.
have psychographic barriers to the west. So now when you go to the east, you see how it gets real compact real fast right around that 26 interstate. And
Right.
that's the psychographic barrier to the east. And then you also want to pay attention not just to the psychographic barriers, but to the names. In other words, what city do you have a suburb? Like here it says West Valley, Garden City. Um, is your area west, known as anything?
Yeah, we're West Boise. So you have East Boise and you have West Boise.
Okay.
And we are in the
What are
very
the,
corner. So if on the other side of
okay.
55 is
Well, hang
Meridian.
on. Well, hang on.
So
Uh, First, I'm going to look at the psychographic barriers and geographic of radius. Then I want to pay attention to, am I going to go outside of my keyword name? So I need to pay attention to that. But I don't think people where you're at and the size of Boise are Googling West Boise for products or services. And they're either going to put in a suburb like looks like Garden City might be more of a name of a suburb type of. Okay, so that's the northern boundaries. The western boundaries go pretty far, but the residential areas, they come all the way out here to Black Cart Road over
that
here.
cat, yeah,
Black Cat Road, yeah.
yeah,
But that's mainly residential areas here. So you can come in about a block to 2 blocks up west of 55. And then south, you can see it starts diminishing off right there at the Walmart Center. So the village at the Meridian right there. So I
that's
mean,
Fairview. That is a barrier too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obvious because you can see the patients drop off real quickly. Right at that, uh, what is that, Fairview Avenue,
Right.
just right under there, it starts dropping off pretty fast. So I would say north of Fairview Avenue, I'd say east of Locust Grove, or on the west side, Locust Grove Court. That's, in other words, one block over from the main road, Eagle Road.
Right.
Um, and then do you have another main road here? Let's see. If you go east, um, these are pretty much residential roads. I see you have a McDonald's there off Fairview and Mitchell Street. Okay, is Maple Grove, is that a residential road? That's a residential road, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a residential road, and then it gets up to Fairview, and then it becomes Fairview is the big kind of
Yeah, the
it
east-west
is,
road.
yeah. But if you'll notice where it says the village at Meridian, it's changed where that's a big uh center of town. So it went from Milwaukee, where there's the mall, and now the center of town has gone to the villages at Meridian.
And
Kind
I'm
of
not
that
going
part.
south. I'm not going south of Fairview Avenue.
Yeah, we can't.
I'm not going to go west, like I said, of Locust Grove. East, it looks like 5 Mile would probably be the furthest I'd want to go east because you're really getting into residential community to the east. So there's your boundary. It's Fairview Road to the north. It's essentially one block west of 55. I would consider that definitely. Remember, a lot of times there's an opportunity when you go off of an intersecting main street and you're in the first block of an intersecting main street. So as an example, like McMillan Road is intersecting with the main road here, which is the north-south road, which is Eagle Road. If you possibly looked at a road going west of that within one block. So I would look within one block west of the main Eagle Road thoroughfare going north. That would be the boundary. To the south, it would be Fairview. To the east, we said it would be,
5 mile.
what's that?
5 mile.
Yeah, to the east, I would keep it at 5 Mile, and to the north, it'd be south of 20. That is that's your radius I'd look at. And you'd be fine anywhere in there based on your patient. You'd have no trouble. You wouldn't be losing patients because you'd be moving
Yeah.
out of the way. If you stayed in those corridors, you're not going to lose any patients at all.
Yeah, and that's what we were thinking. Because any west, it would be, yeah, it wouldn't be good.
Now,
Because there's
keep in mind so block that out, and then so you got to start narrowing. Remember, you open the funnel first, so now you know your north, south, east, western boundaries to look for your real estate,
right.
for your office building, and then keep in mind a couple things. One is, remember I said, a lot of times off of a main road, like your Eagle Road going north and south, if I could stay within one block, and that's kind of what you guys did. You guys are kind of within one block of Eagle Road, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's the reason why we're there is because Eagle Road is a little too busy.
Yeah,
But the thing is it makes it easy to get in and out. If we are on Eagle Road,
you're on McMillan.
we're on McMillan,
Yeah. So, yeah,
just down from the
that's kind
Albertsons.
of exactly your situation that I talked about. So I wouldn't put Eagle Road off. I mean, it's going to be much harder to find something on Eagle Road. And then remember, you want to try to find something on the right side of the road at 5 p.m. traffic. So 5 p.m. traffic is going to come in from the north. Actually, it'll come both ways. It'll come in from the south or north. So you're probably noticing the commercial build outs pretty fairly even, probably on both sides of that road.
Yeah.
So
It's got a separation thing, so, and it's really dangerous if you're going either, if you're on there. If you're trying to get to the opposite
by the
side of
way,
the road.
did you ever try to buy the building you're in?
Well, we,
Did you ever make an
that's what,
offer? Did you ever
no, we
ask?
didn't.
Did you ever ask?
We went and we looked at it, and that's when everything kind of came crashing down on us, and yeah, we missed that one.
I'm talking
They
about
wanted one point.
the building you're in now, the building where your practice is right now. Have you asked them if they're willing to sell
No, we have not.
at all?
No, we haven't.
Oh man,
We should ask them
that's the first place you ask.
and just stay here.
Yeah, and then look at revamping the interior, but that's the very first thing that I would have done is, yeah, that could, I mean, even that could even have caused you could even actually have saved a decent amount of money just by staying there. But that's the
Yeah.
first thing you always want to do. Because remember I told you several stories how buildings that we initially opened offices and rented,
Right.
and then they didn't want to sell. And within 3 years, 2 or 3 of those buildings we got because their life circumstances changes where now they wanted or needed to sell. How many times have you heard me talk about that? That's
Yeah,
that's real
that's
common.
true.
So you've been there 20 years. Well, guess how many life changes that owner's been through in 20 years? Look at your life. Look how many things have changed in your life in 20 years.
Yeah. Well, we've been here for, I guess, 9 years. Yeah.
Okay, 9 years.
Yeah. But yeah, still.
But yeah, life, I mean, if you're talking about a human being, there's one thing that's going to be consistent: change. Things happen. People die. There's emergencies that happen. They get divorced. They move. I mean, all kinds of things happen to people. And that creates opportunities. So yeah, that's the first thing that I would have done. And then you know what else I would have done?
What?
I would have went the person that owned, I know you're like in a professional office space area because I've been
Right.
to your office. Um, so there's several around there. The person that owns your condo office space, do they own
Yeah.
others?
I don't think so. It's the dentist next to us. He might.
See, look how smart he was.
Yeah.
So he buys his unit, buys the one next to him, and rents it out.
Right.
Exactly what we're trying to get you to do.
Right.
So you've been paying rent for 9 years. You just paid him about $200,000 worth of assets.
Right.
So yeah, that's real smart what he did. I guarantee you, he probably has some other real estate too. And he's probably worth over $1 million because he has other real estate, not
I'm
because
sure.
of his dental income.
I'm sure.
Your income's not going to create the $1 million. Remember, only 1%, 1%, that's a real small number. Only 1% of millionaires become millionaires from the income that they make, earned income. I mean, when I started seeing those statistics, that was enough to scare the hell out of me to definitely learn how to leverage my time and money. And then I saw where 14% are leveraging through money. Well, then it takes a decent amount of money to put in the bank to make any money, decent amount of money.
Right.
And then 85% through leveraging their time. I'm like, wow, going to work adjusting patients is the worst income potential you can make. So anyway,
that's what you would do.
Yeah, here's what you do first. Ask him
Okay.
if he's interested in selling. And if he is, just ask them, never offer anything. You always ask them. And if they're not willing to give you a price, then ask for a range. A good way to always get numbers or information from people is to ask for a range because it doesn't create a commitment, but it starts putting things on the table where you get an understanding of kind of where they're coming from. But you see how you could have, and this is a good conversation with Jason. Jason's on the call here, and Jason was talking about, well, real estate's high right now, and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, guess what? If you would have bought that piece of real estate 9 years ago, and you would have bought it overpriced, would you be sitting on a good deal right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had an extra $200,000 of assets that would have went toward your name instead of their name. You see, you could have paid $200,000 more and broke even today. At least you have your own property today.
Right.
And people just don't get it. It's not about the price, especially when you have time. When you have time,
Right.
because it sure beats not having the asset. So here's what I would do first. So you know your boundaries. Here's the first thing I do: ask him, and then go and find out who the other owners are, because there's several condos in that area in your professional space there.
Yeah, there was one that we were interested in, but they wanted 1.2 million.
Well, wait a minute. Let's
Yeah.
not go down the rabbit hole. It
Okay.
scared you before because you didn't know how to negotiate or pay for it.
Right.
But that's not going to be the issue anymore. I told you we're going to show you how to do owner financing and walk through it.
Okay.
So go knock on all those doors, see who the owners are, and make sure you contact them and say, hey, are you interested in selling? And see what comes up. Now, remember, most of the real estate that you're going to find, if you find any real estate, over 50% of it will come without a sign on it. Did you hear what I said? Without a for sale sign on it. You can't just look for real estate for sale signs. That's why I say over 50% of the buildings we went into did not have a for rent sign on it. We went to where we looked at the buildings and the locations where we thought would be a good office, and we knocked on those doors. And we asked two questions. Well, after we asked for the owner, the manager won't know. Don't ask when you go in there and it's the manager. Don't say anything to the manager. They're the last person to know that a business is going to move or they're going to sell or something like that. So ask for the owner, get the owner's name, and then you ask them two questions. Are you interested in selling in the near future? If number one, number two, if not, would you know of anybody else that would be? And even them, do you have any other properties? If not that property, do you have any other properties you might be interested in? Because people that buy real estate, I didn't buy one property. Once you understand the value of real estate, you don't buy one property. I guarantee you that dentist has more than one property. When you understand the value of real estate, you just routinely pick stuff up. I just routinely pick stuff up. So check with the best scenario, or one of the best scenarios, is just staying in your complex, in your space, number one, and buying it. Number two is buying something nearby or right in that professional space. We actually did this with one of my clients. He actually bought a practice. The smart thing is the owner bought that space, that professional space. So they sold the practice to him, and then they rented from the space from him. So, and see, that's fantastic. That's the way it should go when you retire. But they wouldn't sell. Well, the reason they wouldn't sell was because that was part of their retirement income. That's why they weren't selling, which was smart. And then, so I kept talking to him, and that's what he did. He just went, he just contacted the other owners in the complex. At the time he contacted them, it was a condo professional condo um, type of little village. And so he contacted the other people in the condos, see if any of them were interested in selling. None of them were interested in selling. And then guess what happened a year later? He gets a phone call. Hey, are you still interested in buying? So he just moved his office. So he bought the condo, and he was actually smart enough to do what we talked about. It was actually a 2 condo unit the person was selling. He was smart enough to buy both of them. He put his practice in one and rented out the other. And how and why did he do all that? That was from me teaching him how to do it. He'd still be renting in the same old building. So, first place is your building. The second thing you want to do is your professional space. And then I'm going to go up and down your street looking for buildings that it'd be good. It's like, with all the parameters we look for to put an office in, and go, that looks like that'd be a good space. It's easy in, easy out, got plenty of parking, all that kind of stuff. And go knock on their doors. Write the address down, knock on their door. You can ask the manager, say, as the manager's owner here of the business, do you guys plan on moving anytime soon? You can do that. But ask for the owner of the property. And remember, the owner of the property will not tell the tenant that they're selling. They don't have to, and they don't want to. They don't want to scare the tenant. And it doesn't matter because the tenant's lease is honored, is legally honored. You can't you can't sell a property to somebody else and then that new person not honor that lease. That's illegal. So the tenant's protected with whatever lease he has anyway. But a lot of owners will not, they don't want to scare them. So then I would go up and down your road first, looking for places that I go, yeah, that looks like a good facility. Write down the address, get the owner's contact name and the phone number. Because remember, they're going to go on a mailing list. This doesn't happen overnight. I mean, this is going to take multiple contacts. This is not going to be you knock on the door and they say, yeah, and this is not how it's going to happen. It's going to take follow up, follow up, follow up. So you want to get their contact information so we can send them a simple postcard monthly just to see if they're interested, if they've changed their mind and they're interested in selling. So I'd go up and down your road first over to the main road and then over to the east road there. Then I'd go over on the west side, West McMillan. I'd go up and down the main street there, but I would also check these little streets. Like there's all these little streets that kind of go back into the neighborhoods, like West Meadowdale Drive. Now pay attention what I'm getting ready to say next. A lot of these properties that you go off of a commercial street like that, like Eagle Road, and then you go off, like we say, you go back into a residential road like West Meadowdale Drive.
Right.
I said within the first block, and that is usually zoned for a doctor. There's different types of zones, and doctor zones are easily zoned in, like a home office type thing. You'd be surprised how many of those like the first home, as soon as you go in West Meadow Drive, those two first pieces of real estate on the left and on the right,
Right.
you will be surprised how many are already zoned in for a doctor's office. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and down Eagle Drive to the roads like West Meadow Drive, West Meadow Street, Rochester Drive. Do the same with McMillan. You kind of run into some dead space in the park on west of Eagle Street, north of McMillan. So I'd probably try to stay south of that more than north. See,
Yeah.
there's a chiropractic. See, there's a chiropractic office, what I said right there, right off Sedona Street.
Yeah, that one is that particular one is a um, professional complex. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Same with West Audrey Lane. I'm going to go back there. And that takes you up to, we're getting close to the barrier up there to the top. I'd look up there, but I'd want to try to stay south of McMillan because of that dead space where that park's at. So you got Rochester, you got Meadows, and Wainwright's a one-way street. And then same with Bald Cypress, West Bald Cypress Street. That one street right there. Okay. I see your road divides for a little bit there. So it makes it
Yeah.
harder to go left or right.
yeah, the whole Eagle Road is divided.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to be kind of within where some of these
Yeah.
lights are.
U-Stick Road, you can see that's what they've done to U-Stick Road. If you go east on U-Stick Road, there's several commercial spots going east.
There actually, we're thinking Ustick would be one of the best places, a little bit to the left towards in between Eagle Road and Locust Grove. It's there's a little spot there that we're thinking might be a good spot. But yeah, just kind of going over there and looking at that.
Looks like you got a good couple nice strip centers here.
Yeah, this is all strips right there.
Yeah, that definitely is a high commercial area, that U-Stick Road.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I'd definitely be looking there. And then a commercial right down to the river. But that looks like we're pretty much what you are going to want to do. You got Fairview's, your boundary to the south. You got a big commercial area in that corner.
It's a lot of apartments that they put in through that corridor. It's basically solid apartments between that East River Valley Road.
See right
all the
here,
way
this is what they
up to
did
the
with
Ustick.
East River Valley Street on the west side of Eagle Road. You go back and around there,
Yeah,
and look at all those businesses right there at that's almost pretty much a dead end commercial road going back.
right. It's just it's a complex right there.
Yeah, same
They're
thing.
going to be putting a pharmacy school right across the street from there. So
I would
see
be
where,
going in. I would be going in there. I'd be going in there. Remember, a lot of these people, life changes, circumstances change. And that's exactly, and I'll tell you what it's going to take. I'll tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of It's going to take a lot of follow-up. That's what it's going to take. You're going to have to knock on a lot of doors. It is not going to be easy. You're going to have to knock on a lot. It's not going to hit you right in the face. There's not going to be a nice sweet for sale sign. It's not, that is not the way it's going to happen. You're going to have to knock on a lot of doors, go through contacts to actually talk to people. And I'll guarantee you what's going to happen is there'll be a life-changing situation where somebody's going to go, yeah, I do want to sell now. That's what's going to happen.
Well, if it's owner finance, then it's kind of the best of both worlds. They'll actually, it's part of the retirement.
Well, everything's relative, what the circumstances are. But what I'm trying to point out to you here, from what I'm seeing, is this is going to take knocking on a lot of doors. We did that. Actually, we did that with Jason's on the call here. The great news about where he's at is it's great growth area. It's a lot of commercialization, good traffic flow, and it was hard as hell to find space. I mean, he literally, I told him, I said, you're just going to have to walk down, you can just drive your car, pull in, and you're going to have to knock on every damn door that looks like it's an easy in, easy out. That's what we did. And that's how we finally got to the space we were at. But it was a lot of legwork. This is going to take a lot of legwork to make this happen. Because and that's the good, that's the good news. The good news is what defers people. When real estate's easy, you better look over your shoulder. You better look over your left and right shoulder because there's probably something wrong. Because good real estate is not easy. Bad real estate is easy. So that's the pros and cons, about good, what we call demand real estate or good real estate. You got to knock on doors. I do that when I go into a neighborhood, oftentimes on Saturday mornings, right after or lunch, right around that time. I'll go into my neighborhoods that I've picked and I'll drive around slow and I'll see who's out in the yard. First, I'll just look for empty homes, just homes that obviously somebody hasn't lived there in a while, grass is overgrown and not taken care of, stuff like that. And I'll follow through with those. And then what I'll do is I'll talk to the people who are out. And I just stop them and say, hey, I'm looking in the neighborhood. Do you know if anybody's looking to sell their house? You'd be surprised. Neighbors talk. They know who's getting divorced and who's fighting and blah, blah, blah. And it's amazing what you want. And I tell you, neighbors, you want information, talk to a neighbor. They like blabbering. But that is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to do some legwork here. And then maintain a list of their address, contact information, their address. And then you want to put them on, as a bare minimum, I would just send out a postcard once every 3 months. That would be the bare minimum. But I'd probably do once a month because you're talking about a small list, number one. We're not talking about 100 or 500 or 1,000 or this is going to be a relatively small list, so it's not going to be expensive, and you're only talking about a postcard, so it's going to be real easy to just send it out. But that's exactly what I would do.
Okay.
You're just going to have to take a focused effort. You're going to have to take a dedicated piece of time, and say Friday at lunch, we're going to spend an hour looking for our real estate. And you kind of have to look at it like that. You go, this is going to be a part of your retirement. This is going to be anywhere from a $250,000 to $500,000 asset. This is a big deal. And it's doubly a big deal because it's money you're paying right now, but you don't own it. You got nothing. You're cutting the check every month and you got nothing. So you're going to cut the check next month anyway. That's why it's a big deal. You do that, I guarantee you, you do that, you set a time, an hour a week, like I said, and do it during the business hours when you have more of a chance to pay a lot of attention also to mom and pop businesses, not franchises. Mom and pop businesses, they come and go. And then, but I guarantee you, if you did that within, I'd say 4 to 8 weeks, you're gonna have a half a dozen good leads, good leads. In other words, some good potential here. And remember, it's not gonna go. I mean, it's not gonna go fast, fast, fast. That's not what's gonna happen. But if you did that, I guarantee you could probably get into a building within the next year. Just by doing that, well, then you'd have in 4 to 8 weeks, you'd have a good 4, 5, 6 leads. And then we would just work those leads, go back and forth with negotiating, et cetera, depending on the situation. And I bet within 4 to 6 months, we'd have a property lined up that you would be buying, if not relatively soon, within the near future. So, there might be like somebody who's renting or whose business, and they plan on leaving in a year or two, something like that. So you might have to wait a year to get the property, but you would still lock it in with a contract. You wouldn't just wait a year without a contract and then them sell it to somebody else. That wouldn't be very smart. So, but anyway, that's exactly the next step I would do with your situation. Any questions about that?
No, it's really good.
Well, that's what this session is for. It's to do what we just did. It's to personalize where you're at relative to what you're doing. And then when you do that, then we'll go to the next step. We'll hear what you, as you start talking to people and getting leads, then just bring them here and we'll go, okay, what did they say? What are you hearing? And then based on what you're hearing is how we'll kind of go through the next steps.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. Some good points. A lot to work on, so I will be following through with that.
I'd probably take a picture too of the building, like if you could, so like, well, as long as you have the address, I can look it up and get a picture of it, but so that would be fine. But that's what you want. You want the owner's name, contact information, phone number, if not phone number, their address. By the way, you know how you can find the owner of these properties? You can go to the property appraisal site, look it up, and wherever the tax records are sent, that's typically who the owner is, and they're typically at a different address. So if for some reason you had a difficult time finding out who the owner is, but there's this property that really looks good, fits a lot of criteria, all you got to do is write down the address, look at it, go to the property appraisal, look it up, and it'll say where it'll even be in a trust. Typically, the commercial properties will be in a trust. It won't be in the owner's name. And then it'll say the address of where they send the tax information. That's typically the owner, where the tax information is, not the physical address of the building.